"24 hours. Not long. A flash in the pan. But in just one day, our world sees huge changes, endless beauty, and constant drama. As the sun and the moon make their commutes across the sky, their daily pattern is echoed by the natural world below. This is the incredible story of 24 hours in the life of planet Earth. Of course, there is no such thing as a standard day. Across the world, some of the planet enjoys long days of summer, while other parts face the darkness of winter. And while half the world's being warmed by the sun, the other half's bathed in moonlight. The sunrise and sunset barely varies near the equator, but changes dramatically towards the poles. But we are going to roll all this variation into one typical day on Earth. Like a morning cup of coffee, the warming rays of the sun breathe energy into the world. While the night shift must retire to sleep, the diurnal or day-active animals are preparing to start their day. A splash of water to wash away the sleep. The terns are cleaning their plumage, ready for a day of fishing. Fully charged by a good night's sleep, the snipe is up early. Usually shy and secretive, the snipe only uses the low light of dawn and dusk to show off. He has proclaimed this stage his, a place he can perform to attract a mate. And he will defend his patch from would-be scene stealers. It's risky to have such a prominent perch. Even the low light wasn't enough to spare one bird from becoming the goshawk's breakfast. But the hooded crow's death will keep the snipe safe, for now. Coots that gathered together on the water to roost are sitting ducks when a sea eagle takes to the wing. The eagles buzz the flock, looking for weak individuals. But the coots are strong and stay packed tightly together, making them harder to pick off. Luckily, the eagle spots easier prey. Peace can return to the lake. Overnight, air above the land cooled, and as moisture-laden air above bodies of water meets it, water particles form, blanketing the dawn landscape in thick mist. Of course, there are those earlier risers who want to make love, not war. With the thick mist, the male brown bear couldn't hope for a more romantic setting to seduce the sow. The male's been following her around for a couple of weeks to try and stop other males from mating with her. But now, his wait is over. Their lovemaking is veiled in mist, hiding the pair from the sow's 3-year-old cubs. Her mating will represent the end of their childcare. The cubs watch as their childhood comes to an end. After the exertion, the bear goes back to bed. He's not quite ready to start his day. All over the globe, the rising sun is an alarm clock. It can take longer to reach landscapes shadowed by mountains. But eventually, it will get there, stirring life. And not just animals, but plants. Everyone getting ready to seize the day. Dawn has a very distinct soundtrack, nature's alarm clock. Birdsong. All over the world, birds throw their heads back in song. The dawn chorus. Music to our ears, but war cries to the birds, as each boldly claims its territory. Each species uses a different composition and pitch to stand out from the crowd. And it's not just birds. Closer to the equator, on the East African plains, the sun rises quickly. There is only a brief window between the cold of night and a scorching equatorial sun. It's the perfect time to feed, travel, and socialize. While roosters might proclaim the dawn on farmyards, it's the roar of lions that echoes out across the plains. Like bird calls, it's a territorial display, the pride reminding everyone in the area that this is their kingdom. The pride's males make their daily patrols to make sure they haven't had any trespassers on their patch during the night. Like the day after a party, morning often reveals carnage, evidence of action during the night. Many predators hunt under the cover of darkness. There's not much left of the lion's kill, and jackals pick over the bones. Anticipation seems to build as the day shift gets underway. The crossover from night to day can make for some dramatic spectacles. Tens of thousands of straw-colored bats have spent the night foraging in the treetops for ripe fruit. But the sun is calling them back to their roosts. The reason they all huddle together is that there are plenty of predators that would gladly have bat for breakfast. It's much harder to pick one off from the wriggling crowds. Bats roost by the tens of thousands. So many can be crammed together that trees can collapse under their weight. But it's their best chance of staying safe until night returns. While the bats tuck themselves in, many flowers are throwing off their blankets, ready to bloom. They closed for the night to keep their colorful blooms and delicate pollen fresh. Because today, they have a job to do, to attract insects to pollinate them. Many insects tuck themselves away at night, so there's no point in the flowers staying open all hours. But now, they throw open their doors to welcome visitors. This phenomenon plays out all over the world. And they do more than just open. It's in the genes of plants to track the sun across the sky. It helps the plants to keep track of the time, to trigger all of their internal processes, to keep them healthy and growing. They move by shifting water around in their cells, expanding one side or the other to create the turn. Turning to the sun also provides a nice warm landing pad, which is much more likely to attract bee pollinators. The power of daylight to bring more beauty to the world. Many plants also benefit from a morning drink. Like mist, dew is formed by air cooling during the night. The cold air can't hold on to its moisture, so droplets form on cold surfaces. But this morning bath is short-lived and quickly burnt off by the rising sun. One of the last places to dry out is the lush tropical rainforest. The dense foliage blocks the sun's rays from the ground. True tropical forest, or jungle, is located close to the equator. Here the sun's at its hottest, and so more water from oceans and rivers evaporates, leading to more rainfall. The thick mist that forms during the cool of night takes a long time to lift. In case anyone missed their alarm clock, there is another wake-up call in the Amazon rainforest. Here you can't roll over and go back to sleep. The call of the howler monkey can be heard over 5 kilometers away. At 140 decibels, it's as loud as a military jet taking off, making the monkey the loudest land animal. The call is just to tell other monkeys this bit of the forest is his. By the time the sun's up and morning is underway, the rainforest mist is starting to lift as the earth beneath it warms up. For the Earth's 10,000 species of reptiles, the first job of the day is to sunbathe. They're cold-blooded. Their temperature is set by the world around them. Finding warm rocks or moving in and out of the sun is the only way they can control it. Reptile skin often darkens first thing in the morning to absorb more heat. Until warmed blood is pumping through their veins, they're not firing on all cylinders. They won't be at their best for defending their territory, escaping predators, or finding food. Even the biggest members of the family employ the same techniques. Though the big boys, like these caiman, can maintain a warm body thanks to their sheer mass, every process in the body generates heat, and their big bodies can store it. But still, every morning, they haul out to bask and get a topper. Using the sun's warmth instead of their own helps them to save energy. The jaguar is the most muscular and powerful of the big cats. With hot blood pumping through its veins, it's always ready to hunt. And it knows the caiman aren't. Stalking the shoreline, it looks to take advantage of their weakness. The hunt is all about time of day. The caiman may be sluggish, but their senses are keen. The jaguar must tread carefully. The powerful jaws could easily kill the cat. But he's a specialist and knows exactly what to do. He grabs the caiman by the back of the skull. Caught in a vice, the caiman can't swing around to fight back. The jaguar waits until its victim drowns. And then it drags it ashore for breakfast. The world is awake. By late morning, it's pretty hot in Central Africa. While many animals are at their most active, hippos have turned their daily routine on its head. Instead of taking the heat, they stay submerged in the cool river. A last straggler gets home late and looks for a spot where it can slide in and chill with the herd. On the plains above the river, the lions are on the move. They've been binging on last night's kill, but now their bellies are full. With the sun getting hotter and higher in the sky, they're starting to overheat. It's not long before they have to go in search of shade. Thanks to their all-you-can-eat, all-meat diet, they get plenty of nutrients in each meal and can afford to be lazy. For 18 hours a day, they sleep. Other animals monitor the behavior of predators. When they leave the remains of a kill behind, it won't go unnoticed for long. These birds have been waiting for the rising sun. They need its heat. As the earth's baked, warm winds move across the plains, and where they hit cliffs, they rise. The thermals of hot air can lift birds, even big ones like vultures. Thanks to their huge, broad wings, they can get a free ride courtesy of the sun. Riding the thermals, they soar higher and higher. From here, they can survey great distances and barely need to beat their wings. They have incredible eyesight and a keen sense of smell. They're looking for leftovers. They're carrion eaters, nature's waste disposal. People often don't like vultures. They consider them dirty pests. But they do everyone a favor by clearing away the dead, preventing the corpses from spreading disease. They gorge themselves, perhaps taking on another 10% of their body weight. They can't risk more in case it prevents them from getting airborne. By midday, the sun's at its peak, and the moon is long forgotten. But its force is still being felt. As it circles the globe, its gravitational pull drags the ocean to follow it. It causes the tides to rise and fall twice every 24 hours. Creatures living in the tidal zone must specialize in coping with extremes, spending half their lives in cold, salty water, and the other half exposed and baked by the sun. By high noon, the sun is at full mast. It bears down, baking the earth. The ground can become hotter than the air above it. The different temperatures distort light, creating mirages. Shimmering, watery pools of reflected sky. Now the cold-blooded creatures have a problem. They might overheat, which could damage their organs and brain function. So they seek shade. They can't control their temperatures internally, but by moving they can cool off. Even Australian heat specialists like the shingleback must seek shade before they bake. For large animals out on the open plains, it's business as usual. There's nowhere to hide from the sun, so they need unique adaptations to cope. Few are more specialized than the desert gazelles. They're so heat tolerant, they can cope with running under the midday sun. Like other antelope, they will stand front on to the sun, minimizing the amount of body that has direct contact, or turn into the slightest breeze to help dissipate heat. They have an increased network of blood vessels around their brains and cool blood first in their noses, breathing out the heat before the cooler blood goes to the sensitive brain. Some can reabsorb water from their urine before it's passed to reduce water loss. And many get the water they need from their food and barely need to drink. In the deserts of the Middle East, the vegetation can be so dry that these gazelles have another unique trick. Their kidneys are so efficient at filtering that the gazelles can tolerate drinking salty seawater, something few other animals can do. Wading from the beach also gives them the chance to cool off. Even on hot, sunny days, different areas of the globe get a different experience. The sun's high overhead in Central Africa, but even at the height of summer in the northern latitudes, the sun barely moves above the horizon. Nor does it move below it. Throughout 24 hours, it hovers over the skyline, bathing the Arctic in golden light. Arctic animals, like the dotterel, make the most of the long hours of daylight. It's a long shift, but with all that light, plant productivity increases. With so much food, birds flock to the Arctic to raise their young. It's not hot, but hot enough for life to flourish. The day length has been reason enough for snow geese to have traveled nearly 5,000 kilometers to spend their summer on the tundra raising their young. Further to the north, the low sun bathes a land of ice in golden light. Though the temperatures average around 10 degrees during summer, the long hours of sunlight are just enough to melt the polar pack ice. Which means that while summer is a time of plenty for many animals, polar bears struggle to make a living during the beautiful weather. Their lives are spent half in sun and half in darkness, and it's in the bleak winter that the sea freezes, allowing the bears to hunt seals on the ice. On relatively hot days like this one, their world is literally melting beneath their feet, forcing the bears to make landfall. For the long, light summer days, the bears must search for any scraps of food they can find. Anything to tide them over until the ice returns. With the water surface reflecting the golden light, it's not easy to hunt. But this bear strikes lucky. Lunchtime in the lukewarm, soggy north is very different from the one felt further south. In the same day, the deserts of Namibia reach an unbearable 47 degrees. This is too much for most animals to survive. Even desert specialists must trek in search of shade. For the creatures of these climates, midday is best spent under cover. Like a sundial, the tree's shadows keep time as the sun moves overhead. Animals must constantly shift themselves to remain in its cover. The cactus deserts of southern North America are half a world away and have a very different profile. But here, animals use the same techniques. Here, the shadows have distinctive shapes. As the sun moves overhead, the squirrels track the shadows, dashing in regularly to dump the heat. While shade helps, many animals in the Arizona desert are hardcore and able to cope with the midday sun. The huge ears of jackrabbits are full of blood vessels to help heat from their blood disperse, cooling their body. The roadrunner flutters his throat, also rich in blood vessels, to achieve the same relief. But luckily, nothing is static in 24 hours. As the Earth spins, it turns the baked areas away from the sun. We see the sun moving across the sky and gradually getting lower. Time to slowly cool off. As the sun sinks, shadows lengthen. Timid animals like roe deer feel confident enough to leave the cover of the forest towards the end of the day. Grazing around the edges of open meadows, though always staying close enough to dash back to cover if they are disturbed. Many animals that have spent the day hiding are beginning to stir. Badgers spend most of the day asleep in their setts underground. But now, in the shadows of the forest, they can stretch their legs and socialize. Badgers live in colonies, usually about half a dozen adults and their young. Evening romps are an important part of their daily routine to keep good relations between the neighbors. There's no pressure to go off and forage. They'll do that after dark. So it's a perfect time to groom and do a bit of housework. The last duty the badgers want to get done before their night shift begins is to change their bedding. Bringing out the old mattress and replacing it with a new one helps to reduce the buildup of parasites. They don't want any bedbugs to bite. In Australia, a colony of fruit bats has spent the day hanging around. They've been sleeping. But as the air cools, they are getting restless. They're not ready to get out of bed yet. This is more of a lie-in, but they can socialize and groom. Cleaning the delicate membranes of their wings, preparing for the coming night. But while they are contemplating leaving their roost in trees nearby, another roost is starting to assemble. Noisy corellas have been spread out all day, feeding in small groups. But as the afternoon draws to a close, they assemble. They sleep in communal roosts to help keep them safe from predatory attack. But before bedtime, they have an important ritual. The birds natter, catching up on the news, sharing information of good feeding options for the next day, and flirting with their partners to make sure they keep their bonds tight. They often pair for life, so this quality time is vital. Their noisy activity will fade with the sun, ready for a good night's sleep. Many birds flock in large groups at night. Some of the most impressive are starlings. The shimmering flocks move like fish shoals, and for the same reason, to confuse predators. The whirling masses that assemble in the evenings are called murmurations. Even though it's dusk, harriers are still hunting. But it's hard to pick out a single bird. The nighttime ballet demonstrates to predators that they are going to be difficult to pin down. They will keep up the displays until it's too dark for most birds to hunt. The evening brings cooler relief to the African plains. But as the air is cooling down, danger is heating up. The lions have slept their way through the heat of the day, but at dusk, they stir. As it gets darker, it will be easier for them to sneak up on their prey unseen. But these adolescents are still going through lion school and have yet to finesse their technique. Still, instinct seems to tell them they stand a better chance in lower light. They haven't thought much about strategy. They're in plain sight of the zebra. Without an element of surprise, they have no chance of catching up with it. But their time will come. Under the Namibian sun, it's been a hard day for meerkats. The cool evenings bring relief. Meerkats are among the most social of mammals, not just staying together for safety, but for all aspects of life. They forage together, build their homes together. They take turns standing on guard to watch for anything that might threaten their troop. And they even combine their efforts to raise, protect, and teach the pups. With the lookout always present, they can risk being active during the day. But many creatures prowl the African night, so eventually they must retreat underground. For many animals, this is where their day's work comes to an end. But there are some that have turned the working day on its head and are now waking up. The hippo's topsy-turvy daily routine has come full circle. It's now cool enough for them to think about leaving the water. While birds proclaim their territories first thing in the morning, the hippos begin their night with a reminder of who's boss. The giant beasts are highly territorial. Usually, a single large male presides over a stretch of river and enjoys the company of females who chose to bathe there. Male competitors are not welcome. For animals weighing 1,500 kilos, the weight of an average car, hippos are surprisingly agile in the water. The bulls open their mouths 180 degrees to slash at each other with 50-centimeter teeth. Though bravado is usually enough to put any intruder in his place. With the rules reinforced, the hippos leave the water to feed. Feeding at night, they can avoid sunburning their sensitive skin. They will graze on the plains under the stars. The world over, many animals enjoy this daily crossover between day and night. The land bathed in long shadows and golden light. It's a time of transition, a change of conditions and characters. Puffins have spent the day ferrying fish back and forth to their burrows. But soon they'll go and float together on the sea and sleep. As the sunset loses its power, the moon becomes more obvious, reflecting back the sun's light. It offers light in the darkness and aid to many animals, but it's also a beacon. It guides the path for baby turtles. Their eggs were buried by their mother and left on the beach over 2 months ago. They have no parent to supervise their first steps, but instinct tells them to follow the reflections on the sea, guiding them to the safety of the waves. The twilight world can be one of magic. Dark forests can seem creepy, but also enchanting. A beacon in the dark. Glowworms and fireflies mix chemicals in their abdomens to produce light. Signals to help them attract and locate the opposite sex. Where the insects are abundant, the effects can be spectacular. Nature's own firework displays. The bugs can even instantly coordinate their light show, bringing the forest night to life. As day-active creatures, we can find the night frightening. It's a world we barely recognize, even though it's only separated from ours by a few hours. But the things that go bump in the night are just animals living on a different daily routine. Under the cover of darkness, the lion pride is ready to reveal another side to its personality. With limited vision, the prey animals are vulnerable after dark and huddle together for safety. But the lion pride slowly moves into position. They're setting a trap. There are lions on all sides when the trap is sprung. There is nowhere to hide. Animals that try to flee run into the flankers. And soon, the lions have secured their very early morning breakfast. Before long, a glow appears on the horizon. Slowly, the sun chases away the darkness, and a new day dawns. Morning is time for the day shift, including humans. Towns and cities spring to life, and soon the shadows of darkness are forgotten. Humans know how to cram a lot into a day. What do animals think of our busy lives? For all of us on planet Earth, a lot happens in 24 hours. Our world goes from one extreme to the other. Yet we all take it in our stride. What a difference a day makes. And what better way to spend it than in nature.